What is a hemorrhagic stroke and how does that affect your brain? And is the heart related to that too? Well, I'm going to cover that in today's video, so stay tuned and don't go anywhere. Hey, this is Lance McGowan, the Tropical Smoothie Guy, and today we're going to talk about a hemorrhagic stroke and how that affects your brain and your heart. So I'm going to cover that in the next section.
Hey, this is Lance McGowan, the Tropical Smoothie Guy, and today we're going to learn about hemorrhagic stroke. And this results from a weakened vessel that ruptures and bleeds into the surrounding brain, and the blood accumulates and compresses the surrounding brain tissue. The two types of hemorrhagic strokes are subarachnoid hemorrhage and the intracerebral hemorrhage. Surachnoid hemorrhage, SAH or SA, occurs when a blood vessel on the surface of the brain ruptures and bleeds into the space between the brain and the skull. Intracerebral hemorrhage, ICH, occurs when a blood vessel bleeds into the tissues deep within the brain. So one is more surrounding areas on the outside and one is inside the brain. So arteries that penetrate the brain tissue can rupture and cause intracerebral bleeding, and then cerebral artery or aneurysms can cause some subarachnoid bleeding. And you see how the perforating arteries are here and then the internal carotid artery right there. So this is all connecting to the brain. So ICH, so that small arteries ruptures and bleed into the brain tissue. You can see here, and there's an optic nerve to the right, and then the internal carotid artery is right here. That's one of those kind of big veins leading up to the brain. Very fascinating to see the kind of brain and all the veins that are connected to it. Alright, so this is kind of the brain more defined. So you have the outer layer, dura, the more inner layer, the arachnoid. Then you have the subarachnoid hemorrhage. You can see there kind of bleeding there, and then the skull is featured right there. I always think that the brain, I was told like the brain has the consistency of like hard butter, so it's very delicate, very damaged easily, and football players are, some of the, and boxers and all those people who get their head pounded on and hit a lot. I mean, this certainly could affect them a lot too, but it's anybody who just gets kind of brain damage. It could be car accidents. But yeah, the brain is very important, and it's super important to protect it. And alright, so when we look at the cerebral artery aneurysm here, you can see how it's kind of building up, and then the aneurysm rupture happens with the blood kind of spilling and then causing some type of hemorrhage or issue within the brain. Because it's very interesting because the blood obviously has to flow in the brain, but it's almost like everything has a place and is everything in its place. So you want blood to flow controllably, right, throughout the brain, not uncontrollably. So that's what causes a lot of these issues here.
As you can see, a hemorrhagic stroke results from a weakened vessel that ruptures and bleeds into the surrounding brain, and this can definitely affect your brain function, and it's not good. And what we want to do is, not negatively affect these barriers of your brain. There's a blood-brain barrier, and so depending on how that's breached, that can also affect things. And so reducing the amount of plaque, LDL cholesterol, eating more whole plant foods, more plant-based fibers from a what we eat standpoint is going to be really important. And then educating yourself. So Netflix documentaries, some of the top 3 are Forks Over Knives, Food Matters, Plant Pure Nation. Those are like 3 I would start with. And even if you watch like one a week, for the next 3 weeks, or if you add another one into the mix, let me see, like another really good one that I watch, Fat, Sick, and Nearly Dead. That's a really good one too. So if you already watch those, then rewatching them, I would say once a year is a pretty good way to just refresh, kind of make the most important thing, which is your heart health and your overall health, your mind, your body, your heart, your spirit. And that's the reason why I rewatch them, is to reprioritize my health higher every single time. Not just, watch it and say, oh yeah, I watched that, but then not live out anything. For me, it's so important that I refresh and reprioritize my health higher, because I can't take care of somebody else if I don't take care of myself. And so that's really important. But that concludes today's video. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to click the subscribe button so you can get more video updates, or click one of the links in the description box below so you can continue to get your learn on.